Hey everyone! In this video, I'll be guiding you through installing Bliss OS on a USB drive. This setup allows you to use Bliss OS on any computer, and to get started, you need two USB drives. I'm using a 32 GB and a 500 GB USB drive. We'll use the 32 GB USB drive to create the Bliss OS bootable installer. And we'll install Bliss OS on the 500 GB USB drive to use as a portable OS. Open a web browser and navigate to bliss.org. This is the official website for Bliss OS. On the website's main page, click the download button. You'll see different versions of Bliss OS. I recommend choosing Bliss OS 15 with G-Apps or Google Apps. This is the latest stable version. Bliss OS 16 is in beta, but for reliability let's go with the stable version. The download may take a few minutes depending on your internet speed. Next, we need Rufus. Open a new tab and visit the Rufus page. Scroll down on the download section and download the last version of Rufus. Once you have both the ISO and Rufus downloaded, you are ready to start creating the bootable USB. Open Rufus by double-clicking the download file. Now I insert the 32 GB USB drive and make sure it's selected in the device section of Rufus. Next, click on Select and choose the Bliss OS ISO file we downloaded earlier. Leave other settings at the defaults once everything is set. Click Start. Rufus will now begin writing Bliss OS to the USB, which might take a few minutes. Once Rufus finishes, our 32 GB USB drive is ready as a bootable Bliss OS installer. Now we'll use it to install Bliss OS onto the 500 GB USB drive. Restart your computer and enter the boot menu. Boot your computer from the USB drive. In the Bliss OS installer menu, select Bliss OS installation, and then press Enter. Now we'll need to create two partitions on the 500 GB USB drive: an FI system partition for boot purposes and a Linux partition for the Bliss OS installation. So choose Create or Modify Partitions, and select the 500 GB USB drive. In the Partition Manager, select Resize. Then create a 1 GB primary partition. Set its type as FI. This will be used as the boot partition. With the remaining space, create a new partition and set its type as Linux file system. We'll install Bliss OS in this partition. After creating both partitions, write the partition table. Now quit the Partition Manager. With the partition set up, we are now ready to install Bliss OS onto the 500 GB USB drive. First, select the FI partition. This is usually labeled as SDB1 format. It has FAT32. Next, select the Linux partition labeled as SDB2, and format it as extension 4. Name this partition Bliss OS for easy identification. In the boot menu, enable auto updates to allow Bliss OS to update automatically in the future. For the bootloader, select Grub2. The installation will now proceed. It may take some time to complete. Once it's done, you will see a message confirming that Bliss OS has been successfully installed. You can now remove the 32 GB USB drive, and then reboot the system to test the installation. Enter the boot menu again. Here select the Bliss OS USB. You will see different boot options for Bliss OS for most systems. The first option should work fine. Now you can see the Bliss OS is loading with the animated logo.